Trev, as we cron pod along, the next game of the day. This game was so crazy that I think baseball fans almost weren't computing it at the moment. The Toronto Blue Jays.
Don't you dare. Don't say the T that's blatantly in the name of Toronto.
The Toronto Blue Jays.
That's so hard to say.
Hosted the Seattle Mariners. Season on the line, right? Kevin Gausman, a guy who's been so good the past couple years, a FIP king, a strikeout king, that splitter. When it's right, you're not touching it. Robbie Ray just won the Cy Young in Toronto last year. I mean, we've got some beautiful baseball stuff going on here. Robbie Ray's been struggling recently. Toronto, season on the line. That place is getting rowdy. They strike first. Teoscar Hernandez with the 2-run homer, an up and in slider, gets those hands through and gets it out of the park. Vladito with the big RBI single the next inning. Teoscar again, it's 4-0. We're going nutty in Toronto. They get a sac fly. Sure, it's 4-1. Don't care. A massive fifth inning. The Blue Jays push another 4 across. It is 8-1. We are in business. Get ready for game 3. Uh-oh. They're chipping away. Ty France scores on a wild pitch. Carlos Santana, the vet, with the not the grand slam because of the wild pitch.
It would have been a grand slam,
right,
but they scored on the wild pitch.
The 3-run homer. That's fine. It's 8-5. We still got a 3-run lead. Let's give it to our horses in the back. Hell, Danny Jansen with the insurance run. It's 9-5. We're working hard in Toronto. I mean, an inning that won't be forgotten in a long time in Mariners or Blue Jays history. Jordan Romano comes in, the closer. Bass has a tough outing for the Jays. And then a blooper in between shortstop, second base, and center field. If you watched like 5 baseball games, you've seen this ball. It's it's an all-time ball in baseball lore. It's the blooper between shortstop, second, and center field, and full speed. Bo Bichette and Springer, they collide. Looked horrifying at first. It looked like Bichette's knee might have got Springer's dome. It looked like it was his arm after watching the replay. The ball drops. Everyone is scoring. It's a tie game through 8. And then Adam Frazier. It's always been an Adam Frazier pod. Yes. They slid him up in the lineup after a tough year, but really good numbers off of Gausman and a good game 1. And he gets the game-winning RBI double. George Kirby comes out of the pen and holds them. The Seattle Mariners take the series. They are literally dancing on the grave of the Toronto Blue Jays with their post-game celebration. And this baby Jays team that's so talented, a lot of people liked, they lose 2-0 at home to the Seattle Mariners. Trevor Plouffe, whoa.
I got a lot of things to say. A lot. Toronto. I'm going to start calling it that, I promise. Okay, I'll try. I'll do my best. It's like Alec Boehm. I figured it out eventually.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where you go from here. I'm going to spin it so Toronto fans can be a little happier. Okay? We're calling them the baby Jays. They ain't babies anymore.
No.
These boys done growed up, okay? They went to the postseason. You have last year where they don't make it, and it hurts. So they work hard. I want to come back, get in the postseason. They get to the postseason this year. Get slapped around, lose a really tough game. That is going to sit in their minds the entire offseason. And that will motivate you and motivate you and motivate you. I'm hoping they turn this loss into the best off seasons they've had, and they come back ready to go. We're not calling these dudes the baby Jays anymore. They have the postseason experience now. They're getting too old to be called that. It's like you can't be Tom Brady and your kids anymore because they're too old, all right? Do you know what I'm saying?
Sucking face with your kids. Let's circle back on that because, Trev, I 1,000% agree, but Blue Jay fans, A, they don't want to hear that right now. And
No, they don't.
We deserve to talk about this game more and the Mariners because they're down 8-1. You're down 8-1 in Toronto. You know, like we talked about, this was one of the most anticipated series because of all this young talent, and these are two teams that may be linking up for the next few years. Seattle's really good, really young. They've got a lot of guys locked up. Same with Toronto.
Yeah.
And they're down 8-1. Robbie Ray ends up getting touched up. Paul Sewald, who had been so good this year, he has a brutal outing. And this Jays bullpen, you know, they added a lot of guys. They brought in Bass and Jimmy Garcia. Jordan Romano is a really cool story, man. Like, for a lot, I love when a new up-and-coming team kind of has their new closer, and Romano's perfect. Like, he's kind of quirky. He grew up a Blue Jays fan. So it's really cool. It's really cool. And by the way, it's not like he you know, if that blooper, if Springer makes a great play or Bichette or, you know, I think we're talking about this game being won by the Blue Jays or surviving it, but it's not. And the Mariners kept putting together good at-bats and rallies, and they fought back in this game. And as much as I'd love to tighten the screws on Toronto, because I can, because that fan base was a lot this year, it is more so the Seattle Mariners. They are really good. They don't quit. Cal Raleigh with another massive game. Adam Frazier, Carlos Santana. You know, some guys that were added to the pot on this team. Julio goes 0 for 4. Like, it wasn't like they got Julio Rodriguez and that's what it was. No, because this team is really good. J.P. Crawford, 3 RBI. And when it counted in this crazy game, Munoz and Kirby locked it up on the Blue Jays. Really impressive series by Seattle.
Santana goes down and gets that pitch from Maiza. They wanted to flip him around and turn him right-handed. They liked the matchup, but he just goes down and gets that pitch. Was that a changeup, a sinker? Down on those, I'm watching it right now.
I think it's a sinker. Mesa's like 70% sinkers, I believe.
Yeah. That thing did sink, man, but he just kept the hands through, just like a Jake swing right there, and just sneaks it over the wall. And again, you're at that point, you're saying, okay, we still have a nice lead right here. We'll be okay. And then you go to that J.P. Crawford blooper that you're talking about. And I think if you're a Blue Jays fan, you're like, why didn't Springer just play that ball in front of him? Why are you diving for that ball? Let's keep it in front. Maybe they score 2 runs. Fine. We'll still have the lead. Didn't go that way. And then Adam Frazier does his damn thing. Yeah, so just some pivotal moments in the game that could have went really either way. I mean, if Carlos Santana catches that ball like a centimeter more down his back, 'cause I don't think he necessarily barreled that thing up too much. He was a little out in front of it. Just got enough of it. We're talking a completely different ball game. We're talking a game 3 probably.
And something that is obvious, but I'll say it once because I'll probably say it most of the rest of the way of the postseason. It's such a tight sample size that diving into stuff is crazy, but it's what we have. And, hey, just talked about it with the Rays. Carlos Santana is a guy that could have been had at the trade deadline. Like, they flipped a couple prospects for him, not big names, and Carlos Santana was then in the middle of this lineup. That, you know, if he was on the Rays yesterday and he ran into a ball for them, what are we saying? Are we saying that the Rays have a chance to win Game 3 today? Are we saying that there's a Game 3 in Toronto? Instead, we're not. And, you know, the Mariners and Dipoto and how many moves that team loves to make, and it became a little bit of a joke. Like I said, this wasn't – the Rays came down to, like, Wander, Randy, and hopefully – and hoping and praying. This Mariners team is not just Julio. I mean, Mitch Haniger, who I think was their second best player coming into this season, he was out most of the year. Like, they have guys, Ty France. How often did we talk about him this season? And then he had his injury. But this Mariners team is really good. And I don't know. I think them coming into Toronto everyone thinking this was going to be a bloodbath, them kind of going down 8-1 and being like, well, shoot, if everyone was right and this is supposed to go to 3 games and we got Low Gill tomorrow, cool. But we might as well put some ABs together and see what happens. And they did. And they have, one of the biggest postseason comebacks in MLB history.
Yeah, if you told Mariners fans that Ray was going to go 3 innings and give up 4 runs, Sewald was going to come in the 5th inning and give up 4 runs, they'd be like, what's happening? I don't like this game. Please don't talk about this game. But here we are saying biggest comeback for them and no game 3, and you're moving on and you're going to face those Astros.
And by the way, I think I play devil's advocate probably too much in my life, but I think it's funny when you do sports, especially baseball. We just mentioned Kluber, his first relief appearance in 8 years or whatever it is. George Kirby's a kid. He hadn't made a relief appearance since low A ball in 2019. How easily, if he gives up a Jimmy Jack, could we be saying, I don't know if you should put Kirby in that position. Instead, the kid's nails, and he gets it done. Teoscar, the 2-homer day. The Mariners, like we said, they are going on to face the Houston Astros, that's going to be fun. I think the Mariners are feeling good as a team. I think they know that Houston has obviously been the big brother and putting him on them. I think they're going to give him hell. I still think Houston, and we're going to preview the whole series in another episode, but if you're Houston and Seattle, I think we got the start of something out west, which is really cool. Houston's kind of been waiting for that, since, when was the other, last West Coast power, the Texas Rangers, when they
2010,
when they were kind of good. I don't know. Hopefully this is what we're saying about Seattle in a little bit. Anything else about the Mariners before we kind of wrap up on the Blue Jays?
They got all the momentum in the world right now, man. There's when you have a comeback like this,
yeah.
How much confidence do you have? Doesn't matter. When you get down by a couple runs, instead of shrinking, they're like, I don't care about 2 runs. We just came back 8-1. We can do this, guys. And it's one thing to tell yourself that and not have gone through it, but to be able to tell yourself that and gone through it. You could really, truly believe it. And that does make a difference on the field. I know what Houston did against Seattle this year in the regular season, but it ain't the regular season, man.
Right.
It's the postseason. Things are hot. I think the Astros are an incredible team, but they're facing a Mariners team coming in as hot as can be with as much confidence as ever. I think it's going to be a good series, man.
It's where the postseason is incredible because right now Cal Raleigh might be the scariest hitter in the postseason. The dude is out of control. Adam Frazier, who had a down year, he's sliding up the lineup and looks really good. That's where postseason baseball changes instantly. And yeah, man, when you come back down 7 and people are starting to put shoes on their head and you got rally cries and everything, that's when things start to get special.
Should I do it, or are Mariners fans going to be real mad at me if I do it? Because I brought one out there. I showed it.
I have no idea where Mariners fans are with you.
They don't like me.
You wrote
they
them
like
off
me.
as
They like to
dead.
hate me. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to put it on my head just in case. But Birkenstock too. That's a classic. I guess that's going into the Mariners Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
Mr.
sure
Cox
is.
starting it up.
Senor Cox. Yeah, you're in their hype video, being the bad guy kind of, but I think
I think they love to hate me or something. That's what I'll tell myself because I'm getting crushed here, bro.
Trev, a couple minutes on the Blue Jays. So I know you hate when I phrase things like this because it is technically wrong, but they kind of get it done. They put up 8 and they're feeling good. And, Gossman is cruising into the 6th inning. And then the wheels just straight fall off. And, this is my dumb joke I like. Game starts moving real quick. A blooper drops. And bada bing, bada boom, your season's done. Teoscar is a guy that whenever the Blue Jays get mentioned, I try to give that guy a shout out because he has the most hardware of this crew of young Jays. Like, he's got a couple silver sluggers. Like, this dude is bona fide. Teoscar's a stud. Our short king Alejandro Kirk, he's got 2 hits in this game. Danny Jansen with 3. Springer, no hits. He has to leave with injury. Bichette and Vladdy, they have 1 hit apiece. Espinal with 2 hits at the bottom of this lineup. The pitching falls apart. Bullpen was kind of thought to be a weakness of this team. It comes back to bite them a little bit again in that small sample, and there's a blue pit. I don't want to over harp on it. But like you were saying with the Blue Jays, they were talking a lot, and they had swag. And again, part of me loves that. You're Vlad Guerrero, you're 23 years old, you should absolutely have swag. You're Bo Bichette, you're a stud shortstop, you got the hair, you should have swag. They're going to hear a lot this offseason about the movie quote and how, this year was going to be the movie. And, Vlad with the "this is my house," and Manoah talking about how much he loves pressure, and then his first inning. Those boys in Toronto watched 2 celebrations on their field this year. They watched the Yankees clinch the American League East on their field and take that picture. They watched Seattle dance on their field and then take their picture that we're going on. Jays fans, you couldn't care less what I say at this point. I'm a Yankees fan. I'm Jake. I think this is going to be a little bit of a blessing in disguise. I think Alek Manoah and Vladdy being on the top step, watching the Mariners party it up on their field, I think that felt wrong. I think they saw the Yankees win the division, and they were like, all right, you know what, they had a great year, like, whatever, we'll get it next year, and we're in the playoffs, blah, blah, blah. I think them saying, like, wait, what? The wild card in our house, 2 games and our season's over? Like, if I might sprinkle it right now. I think Vladdy's going to be the one giving Ohtani hell for the MVP next year. I think it's going to be the step that they didn't need, or they'll tell you they didn't need, but I think they kind of needed. That I think they're going to be laser focused and kind of the Blue Jays wagon next year that we're expecting. And it sucks that sometimes it has to go down like this, but I don't know. I think they got a big slice of humble pie, man.
I always tell you that when you have a gimmick, bro, you are going to get humbled with that. And I don't think there's a problem with that, dude. I was about to say, let's retire the home run jacket. Who cares, bro? Do whatever you guys want to do to make you feel confident to win. They're returning most of their roster next year. A team that won over 90 games this year. They're young, but they're almost getting to that point where they're veterans. They played enough baseball. They have dirt on their spikes now. Let's go. What do you do in the offseason? Is it address the bullpen, go try to get a piece? I feel like every time teams go in the offseason and try to address their bullpen, it doesn't work out. Like, it's usually they just, like, guys you have in your organization take a step forward, and maybe that's all that needs to happen. I'd assume they go out and try to get somebody for the back end of the bullpen. You want to have as many options back there as possible because it's like a tide, man. Like, guys are in, guys are out. Like, you have to find who's hot at the right time. You have to have enough guys to be able to choose. We've seen that, dude. We've seen what the Phillies are about to talk about. Eflin all of a sudden is closing games out for them. You just have to have those guys that can do it. But yeah, I mean, they're going to think about this. And you're right, man. Like, watching those teams celebrate like that on your home field. I've done it, man. Like, a lot. It sucks, dude. It really sucks. And it does motivate you. And I have one of the clear memories that I have of my baseball career is Jason Kipnis diving to his left, fielding a ground ball, getting up, throwing it to Nick Swisher, them clinching, I don't know if it was a wild card or division, whatever the fuck it was, and Nick Swisher going like this. I'll never forget it. It pissed me off so much. Like, I wanted to be them. So this will motivate Jays, and, they're not going anywhere, man.
Gabriel Moreno, their super prospect, he should be ripe, and they have other catchers. You wonder if something happens there. But, yeah, you think a little more pitching, which you could say for any team except the Rays. And, yeah, a lefty bat, some balance. I I think that's important. I saw my Yankees do this. They were all righty, and I just think it makes it a little easier to pitch to. Matt Chapman played great. I heard it on the broadcast, and I was like, wow, that guy would have been such a good fit there. They were supposedly big on Jose Ramirez before they did the Matt Chapman trade. If he was switch hitting up in the lineup and he's kind of a hustle leadership guy, I don't know. That would have been super interesting, but Guardians move on. Jays do not. We will talk about them a lot this offseason, I'm sure of it. And congrats to the Mariners as they go on to Houston, and that is going to be fun to watch to see what kind of leap the Mariners can take.